Hello everyone, my name is Roy Utley and I am a poet. This is my first appearance since my recent hospitalization, and I wrote this poem to describe the experience and to see if I could still walk and chew gum at the same time. I hope you enjoy it. I call it The Sentinel. Like any morning that starts with madness, this one was nothing special. In the emergency room. What year is it? What is your name? Who is the president? They were distracting me as they slipped a cool, bright yellow bracelet on my wrist that said, Fall Risk. I remember thinking, I like it. But it made me feel special when that was the last thing I wanted to feel. Then, as fast as we came into the ER, my wife was whisked out of the building. No visitors allowed, like a death zone in the ocean. Altered mental status, stage 4 cancer, osteoporosis, compromised immune system, heart disease, diabetes, fatigue, and fever of 102. I was the perfect patient. On a fast-paced gurney ride through a maze of tunnels to the MRI. I loved laying back and watching the ceiling tiles fly by. After the obligatory COVID-19 nasal cavity swab, which felt like a cigarette being put out of my nose, which was well worth it when it came back negative, they loaded me up into the MRI tube to check for brain bleed, stroke, and they found none. And according to my records, they did more scans, but as was noted, patient was uncooperative due to confusion. Ultimately, I landed in a COVID/Oncology Critical Care unit for a week. My news feed reduced to a dry erase board, updated every 12 hours. Time, place, location, nurse's name, and always ending with goal of the day at the bottom of the board, which never changed and simply read, Don't fall. My mobility was restricted by a cocoon-like device that was my captor and became my friend. I called it the Sentinel, a state-of-the-art restraint, life support, and motion monitoring system that resembles a very high-tech hospital bed, but it was far from that. Move too fast, sit up too fast, and an alarm goes off. And don't try to get out of bed by yourself. It even knew my weight, and it never told me when to go to sleep. I started feeling like it always knew where I was, what I was doing, and probably what I was thinking. It was my home and where I did not eat, drink, and I barely moved for a week. Believing I was being held against my will, when in reality I was held against the will of the death of life itself. As was evident when I entered the rebooting area that human consciousness is ill-equipped for. I granted unlimited access to my unconscious mind, the chamber holding all the hidden shame and guilt of a lifetime. And the process began. The process was very much like reprogramming a neural network in my brain. It seemed like it was a random fashion to my untrained eye. It seemed like more like magic than science. Then, too late for goodbyes and regrets. Time to begin severing the psychological and physiological boundaries from everything you have ever known and loved. To the feel of the body heat from the touch of a loved one, or the smell of their hair, or to gaze into their eyes one last time. Everything, the good gone in a blink of an eye, and the bad frozen for all eternity, inducing perpetual agony. Constantly toggling back and forth like Russian roulette at the speed of a dentist drill. It was like they were resetting the tumblers in the combination lock that made me me. A necessary part of the healing process, I suppose. Then I remember what could have been a dream. I was lying on the floor and watching myself from the catwalk above, in what seemed like a small theater. I remember getting up, shuffling down an empty hallway, and my nurse by my side, easily keeping up and trying to guide me back to my room. I remember ripping the wires off my chest and saying, "Give me my shoes." Then after a few more steps, I was exhausted, surrendered, and said, "Take me back to my room." The next day, I woke up as the Sentinel activated its media center to inform me that I was being discharged. My doctor seemed displeased that the Sentinel had spoiled his surprise, and I could tell that wasn't the first time. They handed me a pile of papers of test results as I was leaving, and I flipped through to the last page and said, no diagnosis. The following week was my monthly oncology appointment. My body, including my immune system, seems to have rebooted, and 15% of the cancer cells in my body were gone, as confirmed by lab results. One possibility that my oncologist mentioned was that, assuming it was a virus, it may have been an oncolytic virus, a virus that infects and kills cancer cells. How cool is that? My life has changed drastically from the few days before I went into the hospital and being released. Physically, I took walks regularly. Now it's an effort to walk, and I doubt if I could pass the walk and turn around sobriety test. And mentally, sometimes I can't really tell if I'm dreaming or I'm at home. Whatever happened hit me hard. Hopefully soon I will be able to walk around the block by myself. Life is good. Okay, I would like to sum up by saying I would like to thank the nurses and doctors and all the frontline team that held everything together and made things safe, and all the staff that kept the hospital running. You guys are wonderful. And last but not least, I would like to thank my wife Peg and my son Jacob for taking great care of me while I recover, and so much more. I love you guys. If you like this video, hit subscribe and like, and that's it. Peace.